you're heartbroken over this. Everybody's heartbroken over it. A man's life got taken. But if there is something sketchy that's going on in the background, the people have a right to know because it was put in our face and now we're being lied to. So yes, you could say you're disappointed that you allow people to disrespect a woman who just lost her husband. Well, you should be disappointed that maybe our government set this man up to get taken out in front of his wife.
Turn on your mind now. Tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data and the soul. The hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
What I'm going to start doing for my own sanity, I'm going to always do the live streams. Those are never going to go away. That's my passion. This is the fun part of it. This is what I really love doing. I have been posting those quick cut edits the next morning, and people love that. What I'm going to do is, instead of just taking the stream and chopping it up, I'm going to start posting in the mornings what I'm going to call the Daily Sting. Okay. The Daily Sting kind of leans into the Hive. And what that's going to be is like 25 to 35 minutes. It's the same thing, but it's going to be generalized headlines, quick video clips of what the live will be talking about that evening. It also gives me the ability to research, to pivot, to put it out there, get intel on what we're going to talk about in the live. And I think that it's going to be something that allows me to spend time researching the stuff that I'm going to actually talk about at night, rather than just spend my time editing. So I think that it's going to be a really, really good thing. And I think also what's going to be nice is that can pivot and go in any directions on current events. Whereas then the live, we can dive into whatever the hell we want to talk about. It could be Idaho 4. It could be Charlie Kirk. It could be Delphi, it could be whatever. So the Daily Sting will allow me to continue to research other events that are going on instead of taking all that time to edit it. So I hope you guys are going to like that. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. I can show you guys the logo here real quick in the bottom right of the screen. So that will be the background for the Daily Sting, and it'll be just me pre-recorded, and then we'll do the lives as normal. I put some comments up on the screen as the intro is running, and Stone just had one that really made me think. He had said the only ones who should wear a tinfoil hat are the people that still follow the mainstream media. And damn, you want to talk about a plot twist. It's almost more of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory to believe the mainstream media. And I'm not going to get up here and rant and rave about how everything that we see on our televisions at night is a lie. Everything that's pushed in our algorithms is meant to be propaganda and influence in some way, shape, or form. But we still at least have the hive mind. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is a contrarian thinking live stream where we are not afraid to think past the headlines. So if you're easily rattled or offended on behalf of others, this is not going to be the stream for you. However, if you are sick and tired of just getting the exact same recycled narratives through different headlines on the mainstream media, BS channels, you have found your people, especially if you are considered the, quote, conspiracy theorist of your friend group. You are amongst friends. Welcome to the Hive. I have SammyTMafia backstage.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to say the shirt I'm wearing today, just because everybody likes when I do my T-shirts, and you guys will like this one. It says, everybody's awful except you. It's Jim Florentine's. He went on tour with this, the Jim Florentine podcast, and it's called Everybody is Awful. And so I'm repping Jim Florentine, who is a dear friend of mine. And we are very good friends. We talk about stuff all the time. And so I thought this would be perfect.
We need to, you know what we're going to start doing on Thursday nights is we're going to have the SammyTMafia t-shirt of the stream segment.
Oh, I have so many.
Please hit that subscribe button. That is the best way to support the stream. I keep all my streams free. Swipe down on the chat, press the like button. And the last housekeeping item is that the Hive Mind Roundtable will be Sunday, October 5th at 7 Central. BirdieBombshell00@gmail.com with roundtable in the subject, along with a couple of bullet points on what you'd like to discuss. Now, Tied for life 18. I am so glad that somebody asked this for the Discord question of the day. So if you are in the Discord, please, guys, go submit some questions, as well as for the Hive Mind Finds. I go and I pull all of these stuff from the Discord for these streams. Makes it super easy for me to get the slides prepped when I can just pull it from those threads. But Tied for Life 18 had said, what's your opinion on the Palantir sign hanging up at the memorial yesterday for Charlie Kirk? It showed a quick glimpse of it while showing Trump and Vance together. Now, there was a handful of people, some of my mods, I don't know if I sent this to you, but I know that I sent it to Devil's Advocates and a couple of our mods. I was losing my mind. Literally, like, wow, that just escalated so quickly. Why is Palantir sponsoring a Charlie Kirk memorial? Now, you could say maybe that the stadium they were doing this at, well, that's a chance. But this is just iconic, isn't it?
Well,
isn't it just remarkable?
Why wouldn't it be? And as I was digging into the financials of TPUSA, a lot of, besides the big dollar donors, the sponsorships run between like 5 and 10, sometimes more, sometimes 50, like a Mike Lindell or something, or a Palantir. And so they'll pay that to get their merch and their My Pillows or their Palantir logos in the TPUSA event as advertising. But again, this whole memorial, I'm not surprised that this was there, because the whole thing to me, and I made a TikTok about it, felt off.
Here's one of the themes that I want to start to lean into while we're chatting, Sammy, is like people think that we're too asleep to notice. I genuinely believe that the powers that be with Charlie Kirk's death, whether it was real, whether it was fake, whether he's cloned, whether it's symbolic, either way, it seems to be some sort of like ritual mockery operation shoved in our faces like a pie with every other like type of high profile case that happens, right? The media's rolling it out like a fumbled CIA operation per usual. It's a lone wolf. Yeah, worse. It's a lone wolf narrative. I had asked the Hive the other night during the stream, I said, if Charlie Kirk got shot and we couldn't see the news for 48 hours, and then after 48 hours, you could turn it on, what would you guess they'd say? And I said, I probably would have guessed exactly what they're rolling out in their face. It's a lone wolf narrative, probably by some young man that's distraught, that's on some sort of psychotic medication, that didn't have a lot of friends, that isn't well known. Like, you could call it. You knew this is what they were going to go with.
So this is why I love what George, like, because I watch George Webb's lives every day too. And I've been watching, obviously, your lives as well too. And I like to zoom out and zoom in. So George Webb is go, 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 zoom in. He wants the team. He wants to knock down what he believes are the remnants of this rogue, which, by the way, he'll know, PatCon, it's this rogue CIA, DOD, ATF cutout that gets people to do these, I guess you could say, like ROTC people, they corral them, or they get them to do these things in left wing and right wing, and they use them however they want. Patsies, assassins, doesn't matter. But it's all off the books. It's all I don't even think the directors of these organizations even know what's going on in half of these agencies, because the budget is so bloated after 9/11. Who the fuck could keep track of all these people?
Dude, the connections that Erica Kirk and her past and who she's mingled with and gone around with, I saw some guys start to say, and this might piss people off, but I'm just saying, I'm the messenger for this. Was she only into him to get close to him, to then marry him, and to then be in on this whole thing? Because that shit's put in our face in spy movies all the time. And for God's sakes, we have government officials that are being outed on mainstream news for being honeypotted by Chinese spies. I mean, it happens.
Well, what I said to you is I saw a lot of Freemason symbolism in this. So like Freemasons believe in this tabernacle, and a tabernacle is essentially a tent. Okay. It's the tent with the Ark of the Covenant, some other crap in it, whatever, but it's a tent. Charlie Kirk was under a white tent. And I think it was either a sacrifice that was going to be known, or it was a signal or a message to whatever powers that be that we will have no more of this. And if you want to keep doing what you're doing in your organization, this is what will happen. And I believe if Erica was put in there, maybe she did fall in love with him and maybe she had kids with him and maybe her tune changed. According to Candace, they started going to Catholic Mass a lot more.
Right.
And maybe, but guess what? The money you take has strings. And so the piper has to be paid. When I tell you these financials, they went from $78,000 in 1 year to $400 and something thousand dollars to $2.8 million to $4.8 million to $8 million in a 5-year period. So that is a lot of strings, Birdie. And those strings come with, you better say what I want. And this is the thing that makes me so mad. We all understand this with the music industry, right? We all know that movie stars, musicians, television stars, whatever in Hollywood have this happen to them, where if you don't get in line with the messaging that's pre-approved, you're out. You're never going to work again in this industry. You're going to be flat out on your ass. Nobody's going to touch you. Smear campaign to the high heavens. Bye-bye to all your contracts. We know that exists in Hollywood. Why is it surprising that it doesn't exist in this 990, this 5013C universe of politics?
Well, and that's why I believe they do it on the front end. They make you sacrifice something or someone or some humiliation ritual on the front end so that you get it out of the way and then you're in. And I don't know if America is ready to accept that our tax-paying dollars went to fund a CIA operation that was child trafficking in order to get blackmail on the most powerful people in the world. Are we ready to accept that as a country, that our tax dollars funded an operation through the CIA in joint collaboration with Mossad that got Epstein in the position that he did, that then led to child trafficking, human trafficking, just to get blackmail on powerful leaders all over the country so that we could have some sort of advantage over them? That's the reality of it, Hive. And Chris, you know, this is what I say. This is a contrarian thinking live stream. If you're offended or rattled on behalf of others, this isn't going to be the stream for you. I don't think anybody's disrespected a woman. I would say Erica Kirk has a very sketchy strings attached to the past, and behavior has been odd. So I'm not trying to call you out, Chris, but when you say comments like that, this is the problem, is that then you have somebody like this, which I'm trying to be very respectful. Let me finish, Sammy. Yeah. I'm trying to be very respectful of Chris. And it's like, you're heartbroken over this. Everybody's heartbroken over it. A man's life got taken. But if there is something sketchy that's going on in the background, the people have a right to know, because it was put in our face and now we're being lied to. So yes, you could say you're disappointed that you allow people to disrespect a woman who just lost her husband. Well, you should be disappointed that maybe our government set this man up to get taken out in front of his wife. You know, what I've learned since I've started doing this is that if you just ignore that type of stuff, if you just ignore it, and sometimes you just take the high road and you just let it go, and you know in your gut you're not being disrespectful, those type of comments, they don't just go away. People then take it as an easy opportunity to be like, oh, they're not going to say anything. I start every stream with a literal disclaimer that is saying, if you're rattled or offended on behalf of others, and you could say, oh, I know that woman. Oh, I know this. Okay. Again, I'm sorry. Erica Kirk is not the first person. She will not be the last person to experience trauma in her life. Okay. She was married to a prominent man who was murdered in front of the entire country, that got hundreds of millions of views on social media. And it's now the #1 thing that's being talked about in the world. So to say that the little old Hive is being disrespectful, I'm sorry, that's bullshit. And I don't like having to do this. If you don't understand what the Hive is, like, you got to understand it. This is how people talk. Okay. People that want the truth talk this way. And if you don't want the truth, then okay.
I agree. I agree with you. And I think too, like I said, when I saw that the actual physical event itself with him dying in a freedom t-shirt, then my thought went to, so who is this burden getting passed on to? Because he was burdened, guys. He was burdened. He was pressured. He had pressure. All of this, all of these financials I've been reading that I had my uncle, a CPA accountant, look at before the show. So I'm like reading all these financials. The pressure of these donations, okay, come with so many strings. And you could say that he could blow it off or he could do this. But now every year he's in charge, the salaries, the people he has to hire, everything, the liability, it goes up, up, up. The games and the stakes get higher and higher. So in my opinion, every time you want to say, I want to reach and I want to climb higher, you're accepting money to climb higher. And you think that those donations don't come with strings, but they do. And Charlie was starting to realize those donations come with strings. And it doesn't matter if, and I'm not saying it's just about Israel. I'm saying it's about Ukraine. I'm saying it's about anti-war sentiment. Because
it could be about
at the end of the day, Democrat or Republican, they're both voting us into war every fucking time and twice on Sunday.
This is crazy. Not an NPC. This is a top dog Hive Mind find just because of my own personal, like, what do I geek out about when it comes to looking into stuff and going down rabbit holes? The Q drops like really scratch. They really scratched that itch for me. But you got to think about this. Q had posted how many coincidences before mathematically impossible. It was over before it began. And then you have the surgeon or the quote from it saying his bone was so healthy and the density was so impressive that it's like he's a man of steel. And then you see Tyler Robinson and he's right next to a freaking Superman poster.
Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's Israeli security detail killed Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk's assassin is caught on tape. Blake Bednar has brought us this video. We'll break it down. Take a look at this. Here it is from the wide angle. Watch Charlie Kirk's right side of his t-shirt. Watch the lavalier lapel mic. Do you see it explode? Let's bring it in just a little bit closer. Watch this. Put it in a freeze frame. That is the explosion from Charlie Kirk's lavalier lapel mic. Want to see it again? Bring it in closer. Remember when we told you that that was absolutely an exit wound? Yeah, it is. Check the trajectory of the round that was deployed from that lavalier lapel mic. That went directly from Charlie Kirk's lapel. That went directly from underneath Charlie Kirk's white t-shirt up through his neck and created the exit wound that we told you was an exit wound immediately when we saw that exit wound. First we had exploding pagers. Now we have exploding mics. Do you remember the vector analysis from John Bray? That proves that all of the activity came from the mic that Charlie Kirk was wearing. Remember the palm gun guy in the brown shirt, that shadowy looking guy with the sunglasses? Yeah, he pushes the detonator. Clear as day.
Gang violence. Great.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That's the assassin. That's the guy that pushes the detonator, which perfectly aligns with the explosion that pushes that projectile through Charlie's right side of his neck and out the left side, creating the exit wound.
Here's the handoff.
Yep.
That might just look like the chaos that you would expect after someone was publicly executed in broad daylight in front of 3,000 people. But in no way did that trigger man, that assassin in the brown shirt with the sunglasses, act alone. We have video now from Destiny that shows the handoff of this remote detonator.
And then he pretends to care.
Yep.
We had John Cullen on the program last week, and he made a great point about ballistic acoustics being altered to hide the location of the real shooter. Well, the same can be said to distract from the fact that there was no shooter. Tyler Robinson did not kill Charlie Kirk. This guy, brown shirt guy, he's the assassin.
Oh, way. If you want security, the Israelis know what they're doing.
You say that the blank or the whatever is the distraction, okay? But look at what they did on 9/11. They threw planes into a building to distract us from detonating the fucking thing.
It's crazy.
They detonated that building, okay? That building did not come down because a plane flew into it. I'm sorry, allegedly. I don't want anybody to get sued, but no way. So if they're willing to use that as a decoy, imagine this. This is so much less than this.
Yes. And you know what's interesting? Every time that we show videos like this that make a compelling argument, isn't it odd? You see everything right there. You see the initial impact. You see the people surrounding him. You see him fall. You see the people that were surrounding him jump over, grab stuff, and do certain behaviors. Right? We see all that. We don't see Tyler Robinson on the damn roof shoot the gun. We don't see anything. So this video, for everybody that's saying like, oh, it might be a stretch or this. No. Okay, here's the biggest giveaway. They don't show us Tyler Robinson doing anything.
Who's
Nothing.
to say he wasn't waiting for a signal, didn't get the signal, and then saw what happened and goes, oh shit, and just booked it?
Right. Well, exactly. Who's to say that he wasn't just told? Yes. Who's to say that he wasn't just told to go up on that roof and when he hears the shot to run and sprint away and rendezvous somewhere else? Right.
Who's
I'm
to
sorry.
say he
This is
thought
a
that
coordinated plan.
Charlie Kirk, what if he was taught, what if he was told Charlie Kirk is involved with this? They're worried about political assassinations. We're running a training. So you're going to pretend to fire at him. Okay. And we're going to see what the crowd doesn't react, like a psyop. Okay. And he thought, I know I'm shooting a blank, so it's fine. We'll see what the crowd does. Charlie Kirk's wearing a blood thing. It'll be fine. And then he actually realizes what happened. So he thinks he's doing a training exercise and goes to Dairy Queen. And then realizes, holy shit, I'm looking at a TV screen in Dairy Queen and he's actually dead.
Yeah, imagine literally about to like take a bite of like your Oreo cheesecake blizzard and you like look up and you're just like, holy shit, that's me. Like, who knows? But I can tell you this. They've been doing this for a very long time. The magic bullet BS with JFK. They've done it with 9/11. They've done it so many times. They did it with Brian Koberger, for God's sakes. Think about that. Think about that. You don't see him. You don't got his car. You don't got his license plate. You can't put him in the car. You didn't have a connection to the victims. We've not seen the sheath. And look at what the country has literally all convicted him of. Nothing. Or they with nothing.
And on top of it, Brian Koberger was in the law enforcement program helping them through WSU. And he even said, the first thing he said to the detective, do you know me? Do you recognize me? I worked for blah, blah, blah. He was doing stuff for the police department. What was he working on exactly? We're not entirely sure because they pretended that they didn't know who he was.
Has anybody else noticed this? And if I've missed this, please correct me. So outside of no clear footage, do we have any reliable witnesses of Tyler Robinson? Has anybody come out and said that they've seen him? Because I don't think
Candace Owens, the only one who she got is she actually got in touch with the video of that you're talking about where they're setting up the shot. And it's literally a second before Charlie Kirk gets shot. You see, and he goes, hey, there's somebody on the roof. Well,
but that's not the right building.
Well, that's what I'm saying is probably more than one person. And he also said that he was wearing tactical gear, that person. So he said it's definitely not Tyler Robinson, the person that he shot on the roof in position. Right. So I don't know who was the kid swinging off the building like Kung Fu Panda and I don't know, decided he needed a blizzard.
Like, and also, okay, now let's quick flip it from who perpetrated the crime to Charlie. Okay, where is the autopsy? Right? Where is the autopsy? Where is the footage of him arriving at the hospital? We've got more footage of a damn rover on Mars allegedly than this.
Well, I think this is another just like the Idaho 4. Where's the times of death scientifically? Where's the autopsies? Why was this all hush hush that we can't know the scientific times of death,
And-
that we can't know the autopsy reports. We literally have autopsy reports of Kobe Bryant, for Christ's sakes.
And this is where I feel like at times there's people that are going to understand what I'm about to say right now, and there's people that this is going to go right over their head. But I'm going to say it, and I'm not surprised that there was another massive shooting shortly after this occurred.
No,
I'm not surprised. It's very similar to the lone wolf narrative. I would have guessed it would have been a guy, like I was laying out in the stream, that didn't have many friends, nobody really knew him, loner. And I'm not surprised that there's something that's trying to eat up the news cycle of a different shooting now.
Well,
I'm not.
and it has to have similar characteristics. So it has the casings that say
Yes.
fuck ICE and Nazis and anti-fascists, that sort of far crazy Antifa language. Okay. So in the similar vein, much like, wasn't it weird after 9/11, all of a sudden, all these terror plots started springing up around the United States? So your county or your city would be in orange, red, yellow for the day. Oh, we just busted a terror plot in Lackawanna. We forgot to tell you that we've been trying to goad them into this for a year. Okay.
This is a theater where you're making it up as you go. And as you see how the audience reacts, you change the story and you evolve the story and you create the story. This is a theater production. But the important thing to understand about that theater is that in this case, I'm seeing something I've never seen before. And that is when they do this kind of theater, and when I say they, I mean the intelligence agencies. When they engineer a theater like this, they always, they like to mock the crowd. I have never seen the mockery this extreme. This is different. This is new. It's a joke. It's a joke that you would say, we have a manifesto, but it disappeared, but we know it existed and we think we might be able to get it. It's like, what are you talking? I mean, no experienced enforcement person would say that, could possibly say that with a straight face. I mean, it's a mockery, but then, it turns out he's got a roommate, the roommate is trans, they were lovers, but he told his lover, before this, and he did it on this, and and so they keep adding pieces to the story of who the alleged assassin is that make it more and more ridiculous and more ridiculous. And every time, and it's a way of mocking at the audience.
And I'm going to get into the tinfoil hat conspiracy of the day, which is how many people here, type of one if you knew this, how many people knew that during Prohibition, the United States government poisoned alcohol as a way to sway people to stop drinking? Anybody know that? And this wasn't discovered or outed for years later. There is still a New York Times article that is up, but the full scope came to light in 2010 when the New York Times ran an article titled, quote, "The Chemist's War." It was written by Deborah Blum, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning science journalist. She dug through historical records and government documents and confirmed the program's scope, intentions, and fatal results. This was more than just a bad idea. It was a policy of terror. Quote, "Frustrated that people continued to consume so much alcohol, federal officials had decided the best way to halt the carnage was to kill some of the drinkers." So let's call it what it is. What do you call it when the government uses a known lethal substance to intentionally kill its own civilians? Well, that's domestic chemical warfare, state-sponsored mass murder, or flat on its face, it's an American war crime. And to this day, it never is taught in schools when we learn about Prohibition. It's never discussed in polite company, and there's zero official recognition or apology for it. And what they had done was they put a certain, I believe it was a pesticide, and I'll get the name of it. And what's interesting is that this would lead to things that are still common sayings when it comes to booze. So they use methanol. Okay. It's highly toxic. Do you guys know how people would say that moonshine will make you go blind. You guys heard that? That moonshine's so strong, it's going to make you go blind. It has nothing to do with the strength of the booze. People could say, oh, yeah, it might like blur your vision, but it really caught on because methanol was being put into the certain chemicals that people were using to make moonshine. So they weren't going and like injecting bottles. They were putting it in the raw goods that were needed to distill your own liquor. They'd put benzene in it. They'd put chloroform. But essentially, they wanted to teach people a lesson. Not to just stop drinking. They really wanted to make it hurt. They wanted to make it deadly. They wanted to make an example. And how many people, Hive, do you think that they killed from doing this? This is only just the estimated recorded, this is just the recorded estimate, rather. How many people do you think died before they stopped this? That's exactly right, Kyler. It was 10,000 to 15,000 people may have died from tainted alcohol. That's just the recorded estimate. So what does this tell us? Well, the government's willing to kill you to teach you a lesson. Mass poisoning will be justified and then forgotten about with the right propaganda and education system. And the state would rather weaponize toxins than admit a policy failure. But there's still the same mentality today. We have toxic food systems. We have poisoned water. We have chemtrails that they say, quote, are safe, just like we have safe injections. We have accidental spills. They've been poisoning us for decades, sometimes subtly, sometimes with full intention. The only difference now is they've gotten better at hiding it. So who knows? A lot of people speculate, too, that this was a test. This was a social engineering blueprint. The poisoned alcohol was the lethal enforcement arm of bureaucratic tyranny. So I think that shit's crazy. That's one of the wilder ones that's true. Cheers.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.